Today we're baking a strawberry pound cake that is perfect for strawberry season. To start, we're going to need a pound of fresh strawberries. De-stem them and place them in a blender or food processor. Then you're going to puree the strawberries until they're a smooth liquid mixture. We're going to pour that strawberry puree into a saucepan over medium-low heat, and you can see it's really loose liquid right now. Bring it to a simmer and let it cook for about 45 minutes until it gets really thick, almost like a thick ketchup. And when you scrape the pan, you can see that it leaves empty space. Transfer that to a heat-proof container. And you should be left with about 2/3 of a cup of strawberry puree. And we're going to need to let that cool down before we make the cake. Before we start mixing the cake, let's prepare our cake pan. I'm using shortening here to coat the whole inside of my pan. Make sure every spot is covered, and then sprinkle a little bit of flour in there and shake it around and get the entire pan coated with flour. If you have any blank spots, then you know you've missed and you need to add more shortening. But the whole pan should look white like this when you're done. Next, let's start with our flour, baking powder, and salt and mix those items together in a small bowl. And then just set that aside. In a stand mixer, we're going to beat together sugar and butter. And we need to use the pedal attachment to beat this on medium speed for 5 minutes. And it's going to be really fluffy, almost like cake frosting. You want to make sure each time that you scrape down your bowl to make sure everything's getting mixed in really well. Let's add the oil, the vanilla, the almond extract, and a little food coloring. You can use red or pink here. Beat it again for about a minute just to get those things mixed in. Next, we're going to need 6 large eggs. I like to crack these into a bowl so that they're easier to add one at a time to the mix. We're just going to add those eggs in one at a time and let it stir together until the egg is fully mixed in before adding the next one. Just giving the bowl another scrape to make sure there's nothing on the bottom that hasn't been mixed in. Now you want to add enough milk to your strawberry puree to have 1 full cup of liquid, so however much yours reduced, just add enough to reach 1 cup. And then we'll turn the mixer to low speed, and we're going to add half of the dry ingredients, followed by half the wet ingredients. And then we'll repeat it with the remaining ingredients. And you just want to mix it until everything is just combined. Give it a final stir with your spatula to make sure everything's really well mixed together. Now we're ready to put the cake batter into the cake pan. You can see it's really fluffy and kind of thick, so it doesn't pour easily. So just make sure you spread it out evenly in your pan. We'll give that a couple taps on the counter just to make sure there's no air pockets in there, and we want to bake at 350 for 75 minutes. Let that cool in the pan for about 15 minutes before you try to turn it out. And then use something soft like a small spatula to loosen the edges. Don't ever use a knife here because you will scratch your pan. Place your rack on and then flip and cross all your fingers and toes that it's going to come out right. There you have it. Now we're going to let that cool completely, which is going to take at least an hour, and then move it on to our serving plate. Next we want to make our icing. We're going to make that from freeze-dried strawberries. So this is powdered sugar, freeze-dried strawberries that have been pureed, corn syrup, and a little bit of cream. You could use milk too if you don't have cream. And I just added the cream a little at a time. You just want to keep mixing until your icing reaches a consistency that's thicker than you might think, but it should settle back onto itself within a few seconds. If you make it too thin, you'll end up with a puddle of icing all over the plate. Then pour that icing over the cake. And sprinkle on a few extra strawberries just for decoration. And if you don't want to use this strawberry icing, you could do a white icing with just powdered sugar and cream. You could do chocolate. You could also just dust it with some powdered sugar, or you could leave it plain. And then you're ready to serve. Perfect.